Hi parents, welcome to another lesson from your child's book. This is Mr. Veszpeller, and we are starting Unit 6, which is Introduction to Geometry. And look for this letter that they took home today, a family letter, and it tells you a little overview of Unit 6. We're talking about quadrilaterals, which are four-sided figures. Quad meaning four, lateral meaning sides. These are some of the quadrilaterals that we'll be discussing. Parallelogram means opposite sides, left and right, are parallel, top and bottom are parallel. Rectangle, opposite sides are parallel, and then you have four right angles. Each corner has a right angle, meaning 90 degrees, straight up, straight out. Square, opposite sides are parallel, left and right, top and bottom are parallel to each other. They also have, a square has four right angles, and all sides are equal in length. A rhombus, opposite sides are parallel, like all the others. All sides are equal in length. So some of these, overlap, and we'll talk about that as well. So look for that letter, and it's in two sections, so you'll get a second letter soon. We discussed this in class. The first vocabulary word has to do with array, where it has a beginning point but no end, so we use an arrow to indicate that it goes on forever in the same direction. So these are called rays. A line segment, it has a beginning and it has an end. If you put two line segments together or two rays, it forms an angle. There's basically three different kinds of angles. We have an angle that's greater than a right angle. We have a right angle, which is indicated with this little square in the corner. And then we have an angle that's less than a right angle. So you could see, especially if you hold a piece of paper to it, so you could see that's a right angle. If you hold a paper to this, it's greater than a right angle. If you hold a piece of paper to this one, you could see that one side lines up, but the other one's hidden, so that's less than a right angle. So they'll be asking you in this first lesson to identify if it's greater than, if it's a right angle, or if it's less than. All right, so these angles are named with a letter in the corner. This is angle V, this is angle W, this is angle X, Y, and Z. Which of the angles are right angles? Right away, it gives it away because we have this little square indicator that tells us it's a right angle. So we write angle W. And to double check that, we get a piece of paper and we hold it there, and sure enough, it's a right angle. Which of the angles are smaller than a right angle? X is smaller and Y is smaller. And just to double check, we hold this parallel with that line, and you can see this one is hidden, so it's less than. Okay, so X and Y are less than. And which are larger or greater than a right angle? It would be V and Z. Okay, and then on the other side, describe triangles by types and angles. These are all right angles. You could see how they're indicated like this in the corner. So this is a right angle. This is a right angle. This is less than a right angle, and this one's less than a right angle. This one is less than, this one is less than. So all of these have one right angle and two angles that are less than. These triangles, all three angles are smaller than a right angle. In this one, only two were smaller, and one was right at a 90 degrees right angle. This one, all three are less than, if you could see that. Again, if you hold this up there, you could see that all of them are less than. In these, one angle is larger. So this one is larger than a right angle. this one is larger, this one, and this one is larger than a right angle. Okay? The other two are smaller. So then to answer this question, KLM in these exercises, which triangle has one right angle? It's this one here, M. Which triangle has three angles that are smaller than a right angle? So K, all three of these are smaller than a right angle. Which one has one angle that's larger than a right angle? And that would be L. This one's larger, so L. And so that was our lesson in class. And this is an extension, the homework. Which angles are right angle? Well, we said B is a right angle. Which angles are larger than a right angle? Definitely C, and E is larger. Again, if you just hold the paper to it, you could see that C. You could still see that line. See how much it opened up? That's larger. And this one, line it up, you can see this is larger than a right angle. And then which angles are smaller than a right angle? A and D. Using the triangles 4 through 7, we did this with the kids. A triangle that has three angles that are smaller than a right angle. This is smaller and this is smaller. But if you hold a piece of scrap paper up to it, this base is a little smaller than its sides. You could see that. It's really just a little bit smaller than its sides. And this one, all three sides are the same. So if we make little, we could do it with a ruler, of course, but this is what I have right now. So all three sides are equal, and all three angles are smaller than a right angle. So that's X, and then X has three angles smaller than a right angle and three sides that are equal, three sides of equal length. All right, which triangle has one angle that's larger than a right angle? Z is the only one. It's larger. This angle here is larger than a right angle and has how many sides of equal length? 0. This is the smallest, the medium, and this one's the longest. Has 0 sides of equal length. Which triangle has one right angle? I guess W, in W. Has one right angle and how many sides of equal length? 0. Again, if you can't see it right away, you can just measure it, and then you could see that this one, because it kicks out, by necessity, it has to be about this much longer. Okay? I can grab a ruler and show you. If you have a ruler at home, you can measure and see that this one's the smallest, medium, and this one's the largest. So it has 0 sides of equal length. And which triangle, has three angles smaller than a right angle, and how many sides of equal length? We talked about these two sides are equal, and this base is, I believe it was shorter. So Y has three angles that are smaller, and it has 2 sides of equal length. Draw an example. We did this in class. Polygon with 6 sides. We didn't talk about it, but it's called a hexagon. And it just anything. It doesn't have to follow a certain shape. It just has to have a rule. 1, 2, 3. I think I did too many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's a hexagon. And then a polygon with 4 sides and 4 angles, it could be anything, a square, rectangle, it could be a rhombus, because it doesn't say right angle, it just says 4 angles, 4 sides. And then a polygon with 8 sides is like a stop sign. It's, there you go. Okay, so 8 sides. By the way, this polygon, this is called a square, and the other one is called a rhombus. If it has equal sides, or a parallelogram, if this is more like a parallelogram because the top and bottom seem to be longer than the sides. So it's hexagon. Hex, think of it as 6. See that X? And then a lot of it's, and this one is an octagon. Think of ocho. Okay, so it's Latin based. Looking at the other side, you're going to have fun with this. This is 1,000, and you add it to hundreds. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 hundreds. This is 3 tens, so it's 30, and then 2 ones. So it's 1,431. Write the number. This is 638, 251, 800s, 7 ones, 800s, no tens, and then 7 ones. 2,000, no hundreds, 2 tens, and then 4 ones. Solve each problem. There are 100, circle your numbers, 147 third grade students going to the theater. Box the each tells you to multiply or divide. Each row at the theater has 10 seats. All right, so it's going to be an array. Each row has 10 seats, so you're going to draw 10 on top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the question is, how many rows of seats will the third graders fill? Well, the total is 147. 10 times what is 140? Well, 10 times 14 is 140. 10 times 15 would be 150. So the best we could do is fill 14. So how many rows will the third graders fill? 14. How many students will be seated in a row that isn't filled? So you could see that there's 7. 140 would be how many are filled, and then there's 7 left out. There's 7 in a row by themselves. Draw a right angle triangle with 0 sides of equal length. Well, we could just look at the other side. Basically, it could be a right angle here, and this would be the shortest, this would be the medium, and this would be the longest. All right, thank you very much.